Bring home a special souvenir as a memento of your visit to Malaysia. Moving on, let us proceed with session 4, where we will discuss promoting synergies and partnership. This session aims to identify concrete opportunities for technical cooperation and resource mobilization to support the effective implementation of the master plan. May I kindly request respectable Ms. Marlene Ramirez, Secretary General of ASEAN, to moderate the session. Please welcome Ms. Marlene Ramirez.
Thank you very much, and welcome back to the almost concluding part of our two-day event. The session will discuss how collaborative partnerships and resource mobilization can support the effective implementation of the Master Plan on Rural Development. So we hope that this short session of 45 minutes will allow us to surface concrete opportunities for technical cooperation, joint programming, and resource mobilization. So the ASEAN Multi-Stakeholder Forum or Dialogue aims to harness public-private people partnership to promote sustainable and transformative rural development in the ASEAN community. So we have heard priorities or recommendations for strategic action from the last session that was moderated on by Miguel. So the next challenge, and I think an important challenge, is how to build upon existing initiatives and carry on new ones together. The call of the time is pursuing development actions in convergence with as many stakeholders as possible. The master plan on rural development is so designed that invites as many sectoral bodies to find common agenda and agree to work collectively towards the achievement of the goals. So after, there seems to be that openness, commitment to work together, the next question for us, and we have heard from from session 3, that recurring question on the resources needed or financing needed to support the action. So how do we proceed to raise the needed resources to translate the plans into concrete actions and results at the national and at ASEAN level? So for this session, we will use Mentimeter to generate responses. So we hope we can have at least 15 to 20 minutes of responding to 3 questions via Mentimeter and process each question for a few minutes. Next slide, please. Okay, it's coming out. So please take out your phones. We hope as many of the participants in the room could participate. Before I go to the next slide, please make sure that you have downloaded the QR code. So just a show of hand if people have successfully linked to the QR code. Okay. So can I see hands at the back if they have successfully connected via the QR code to the Mentimeter? Okay. So the first question in the Mentimeter asks, what existing national multi-stakeholder councils or CSO government private networks can be engaged to advance the priorities, the recommendations coming from this forum? So, sorry. So there are three choices, okay? Quite a number saying that there is a potential multi-stakeholder partnership mechanism that could be catalyzed or developed to respond to the result of the ASEAN Rural Development and Poverty Eradication Forum. So I don't know if this is encouraging for us, but somehow some of us mentioned that there are existing mechanisms that they could engage and share results of this forum, but largely it remains to be developed or even catalyzed. And maybe this gives us that also excitement, no? If the question is how willing each participant from this forum will take lead or champion the catalyzing or the development of this multi-stakeholder partnership mechanism. So I'm not sure. Of course, there are also three of us saying maybe it will be difficult to find this mechanism or partnerships at the country level. So we have 5 saying there are strong mechanism. 37 says potential for development or for catalyzing, and 3 finding it difficult. So I would like to pause here before we move to the next question and maybe ask from the floor 2 or 3 views, no? And in that sharing, maybe say some recommendation or, you know, how they feel about this opportunity. Is this added work? Is this exciting for you? Can this process here in Kuala Lumpur help us move to this possibility of strengthening or catalyzing mechanisms to respond to the many recommendations or priorities that we heard? So any insights or views, 1 or 2 from the floor? The idea of when we go back to our respective countries, how do we see the possibility of advancing our discussions here in Kuala Lumpur into concrete realities from 2025 until the coming years? Maybe I will voluntold ASEC pass.
Thank you. Actually, I voted that there isn't a strong multi-stakeholder partnership mechanism in the Philippines because in the Department of Agriculture, we have the Philippine Council for Agriculture and Fisheries, uh, where sectors are represented, industry sector, uh, and we regularly consult them for policy, for budget. No? So we have that. As well as there's a commodity board. No? There are commodity boards, and we have an assistant secretary handling that. So it's possible that we can use or we can submit recommendations through this council in the Philippines. Thank you.
But thank you for that. And I could imagine how it could happen. But will there be openness on the part of this council to broaden? Because I think the point is that we would like to see like a multi-stakeholder process. So when you go back and you share to them, it is like sectorally oriented. But the question of a broader process that you could connect with other relevant sectors. So I think it's clear that each one of us would have our respective sectors, but we're also interested to see if at the national level, there are enough multi-stakeholder processes or mechanisms that we could engage. Yes. I call on my colleague from Asian.
I have been working with NGOs in the Philippines, and I agree. In the Philippines, there's a very strong mechanism for partnership, especially with FO, with farmers' organization, and many of them are legislated, meaning convened and by law. No? But I have been a member of National Agricultural Fisheries Council, maybe for 5 years, representing an NGO. I have been a member of NAPSI for a certain number of NGOs. My comment is, with due respect to our partners, these stakeholders, yes, they are represented, but the quality of representation and preparedness of these sectors must be given concern. For example, participation is not only attendance, because in many of these councils, we have free transportation provided by government, okay? But it's not only attendance. Before we attend, we should be able to meet together to discuss our agenda. It's not happening. We do not have funds. And the representatives that are coming from Visayas, Luzon, all over, difficult, no? So that's one. The second is the government, they are there, especially in the Agricultural Council. 80% are government because the regional directors, they have funding. But the FOs, most of them, they are the official representatives. But the other non-official representatives cannot attend and cannot do the meeting. So the quality of representation, I think, if we go to these stakeholders, have to be given attention. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. We'll have a quick response from our ASEC pass, and I call on Dwi.
Yeah, I think the question is there a strong mechanism? I think that it is legislated, so I think this is a strong mechanism. But as to, I think we still have to improve. And I think there is already an admission, as far as DA is concerned, that we have to look at the representatives. So there is an election that is going to happen again soon to make sure na representatives are really the representative of the sector. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Mar. Yeah. Sorry. For Indonesia, I think we will start to discuss with the Ministry of Women Empowerment and Child Protection because they have a program on National Action Plan on Climate Change and Gender, apa? Laksmi? Yeah, I think we can discuss that as a good start to discuss. Then we can continue discussion wider. For example, we invite some RDPE because represented by Ministry of Rural Areas. Yeah, we have been working with them for discussion like the territorial development, but we will include the women empowerment. If we can start the discussion with the two ministry, I think it will also a good start already.
Thank you, Dwi. So we have two hopeful recommendations here on women, some RDPE, hopefully with the Agriculture Ministry, also from Indonesia, and also from the Philippines. We have heard earlier sharing about social welfare and Department of Agriculture converging on a common initiative for young people. So we hope that when we go back, we can start off some of this potential collaboration for joint actions in the coming years. Okay. Afan, yes?
Thank you. Yes, very short. Just to add up from what Dwi has said, no? I also believe that in terms of multi-sectoral, multi-stakeholder bodies in Indonesia, I don't believe there is one strong platform on that. No? But one very strong process that maybe we can also replicate is really the process of the development of National Action Plan on Family Farming, which is one of the focus in Rural Development Master Plan. That National Action Plan was initiated by National Committee of Family Farming of Indonesia, which is mostly CSO, not really mostly, all of them are CSOs, and then led by the Ministry of Development Planning of Indonesia, and also legislated actually already. So it's already part of the medium-term development plan of Indonesia. So that kind of process can also be replicated outside. I believe until now, it's only Indonesia and Philippines has that National Action Plan on Family Farming. We are hoping to see more of that in the other AMS. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Afan. And from SOM RDPE?
Yeah, the mechanism that we have in the Philippines, especially in our agencies, the collaboration of the government sectors and the basic sectors, and the representations of NGO and cooperative representative in RDC level also, in regional development, down to the regional provinces mechanism also. So the active participation of the basic sectors in policy and also in monitoring the budget. I think in order to strengthen that mechanism, the collaboration between the partner agencies and our NAPSI, because our mandate is only to monitor and the policies. So I think to strengthen that is to add up on the additional budget so that we can incorporate the basic sectors until at the barangay level.
Exciting. Thank you very much. Any other views from other countries like Cambodia or Laos or Thailand? Possibilities or difficulties? Okay, so there's no more. Oh, we hope that we will keep track of how these processes can actually move forward in, well, at least 2 countries that we heard, but we hope there will be more. Now, I'm looking for my switch. Okay. Thank you. Can someone assist? This is not working. Okay, for the second question, because I think that's a reality while we have our annual government budgetary allocations, we still heard from the reports in session 3 that one constraint is the access to resources. So the second question is, how can resources be strongly mobilized in support of the priorities for RDPE at national and regional levels? So we have 4 responses, and I think you can cite as many. First is finding policy and programming champions in your respective agencies, organizations to push for the RDPE agenda. Second is allocating budget in support of the RDPE priorities in 2025 and inclusion in programming budget to 2026 or the coming years. And third is develop programmatic cooperation and raise funds jointly with other interested in the multi-stakeholder mechanism from 25 onwards, and tapping existing ASEAN fund facilities that's co-organized or dedicated for ASEAN use. So tapping on the list is applying or making use of existing ASEAN funds facilities. Second is allocating budget in support of RDPE priorities. Maybe it's too late now for 2026, but well, if you have remaining unused budget, so we can say for 2025, and include in programming budget for the coming years. So now we have 2 and 4. So in general, I think the 4 options to raise funds more or less share that same vote, no? So I think all the 4 options are viable or things that could be pursued. So any views, more specific perhaps, that we could hear from the floor? That maybe you hear of an upcoming funds from a particular donor that might be of interest for the ASEAN Secretariat or the supporting the RDPE process, take a look at, as well as those stakeholders concerned. Do I see a hand from here? Okay.
I just have an idea that I would like to share. Is it possible for RDPE at the national level to give something like endorse when we are going to propose, submit a proposal to funder, for example? Is it possible for that? Or all the government of RDPE will not support our initiative?
Okay, so there's a question is if it's possible to get an endorsement or recommendation from some RDPE country level for proposals coming from civil society organization. Maybe some RDPE national representative, but maybe while waiting for that response, maybe we can share ASEAN experience during the annual, well, ASEAN is a regional rural development network that's affiliated with ASEAN. So we have, as an affiliated entity, we get invited to provide update, progress report to some RDPE official meetings annually. And normally, we would put forward our request for endorsement, like a multi-year project proposal on social protection that will allow us to manage, say, a fund that could be made accessible by civil society organizations, farmers organizations, cooperatives, NGOs at the national level. So, and we normally would get an approval of that request. So like 1 or 2 projects. The assumption there is that those projects that we ask for endorsement contribute to the framework action plan for ASEAN RDPE, or it's linked to a regional initiative under the master plan. So that's our experience. What I think we as Tuti is asking is, at the national level, is some RDPE national having that process with civil society organizations, and if not registered members or partners, like in the case of the Philippines, structurally they are part of the NAPC. But if not, will there be that venue for CSOs to interact with some RDP or other sectoral bodies, no? Some AMAF, some SWAD, and so on. Any experience, maybe, of working with CSOs, supporting CSOs in their respective countries? From Thailand? I asked Dr. Zarni from the experience of Myanmar.
Actually, I think that uncalled for the memory of yesterday that I said about our redevelopment is not only the national development, not the single projects or program. This part of the ASEAN vision. So in Myanmar, what we did is, we aligned with our national redevelopment policy with the SDG goal as well, also for the ASEAN and regional initiated programs. So that means the national program is aligned with the regional program. So the nation is developing or implementing such kind of initiative. This already contribute to such kind of the regional initiative. So when we look at our ASEAN Master Plan about the 52 initiatives, those are mainly about for the capacity building, knowledge sharing, practice sharing. So it is much contributing. So that's why those kind of national member states have the opportunity to support for the regional framework. So secondly, about is the how we will work with the NGO and CSOs. So that is always the potential because NGO, CSO, INGOs, everybody is working with the redevelopment has the same objective. That is about the betterment of socio-economic development of people. So government also working for the same objective. So if we are lay down and stand on the that foundation, we can work together. But if we stand on the who are we, what are we, so that will be the issue because government side also it has the, some bureaucratic procedure, but that has to be justified. And then NGO and CSO as well also for the NGOs and donor side also have to justify with their donor policy. So then we can work together. That is the potential. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think going back to the question of Dwi, that there is that possibility so long as the priorities are contributing to both national and the regional agenda, but keeping in mind the processes that is present according to donors or government procedures. Any other views? Okay, so what we have here, maybe a question to ASEC on the one that has the highest score, tapping into existing ASEAN managed or ASEAN-oriented funding facilities. What had been the experiences? Any prospects?
Thank you, Marlene, for the information of all participants, no, especially the representatives from ASEAN sectoral bodies. So let's start with ASEAN partners. There are existing funding support. There are trust funds lodged in the ASEAN Secretariat, and there are other funds that ASEAN partners make available. For our team from Poverty Eradication and Gender Division, we circulate information to some RDPE and other sectoral bodies like ACW on these funding facilities. No? The critical point there, Marlene, and for everyone is that member states and the sectoral bodies would need to take a leadership role on how to access these funds because the funds are there. We just need a project proposal, just like what some RDPE Myanmar did. There was a project proposal. Now they're going to organize a workshop this coming December on smart villages. No? And there's appraisal process. No? And our team would be happy to support that. That's the regional cooperation funds. Now, ASEAN partners, they also have other pockets, no? And that's where partnership with, for example, ASIADRA come in to support the development of project proposals. No? So there's the funding facilities are there. It's just a matter of putting together, identifying what the priorities are, securing the endorsement of the ASEAN sectoral body so that these are aligned with ASEAN's priorities. And of course, if it's mutually beneficial for the ASEAN partner, no? And usually there's like a plan of action. No? For example, with the ASEAN +3, so that's China, Japan, and Republic of Korea, rural development is one of their priority areas. No? And that also encompasses micro, small, medium enterprises, agriculture, social welfare. So there are a lot of opportunities. It's just a matter of putting it together in a project proposal. And maybe just one additional point. I think all of the sectoral bodies attending this regional dialogue, you're in the process of developing your 5-year work plan. No? So sectoral bodies in ASEAN now, they're concluding the implementation of their work plan covering the period 2021 to 2025. And they're about to enter the new programming cycle covering 2026 to 2030. So for example, for some RDPE, you already had your online briefing on your new work plan last August, and there will be another one in January. No? So there's an opportunity for the recommendations from this dialogue, also on any funding opportunities for projects to be incorporated in your work plans. No? For example, for some RDPE, in your work plan, it's included there the annual public-private people partnership, the ASEAN Award. So for you, it's just a matter of expanding it so that it will also include interface, for example, with some AMAF. And vice versa, for some AMAF to do the same. Upon your consideration. No? Yeah, so that's it. Thank you, Marlene.
Thank you, Miguel. I think that's a very helpful information and advice from the ASEAN Secretariat. I see. Okay, yes, please.
Remember Thailand proposed one project last year. Is still including to this work plan or is gone with the own work plan? Remember my project, right? Okay.
This is a very good question, very important, because there are projects led by member states, such as Thailand. This is, I think there are two or one, only one, yeah? Some project proposals. There are four, okay. So when I mentioned that the current work plan is about to conclude its implementation, there's a conversation or discussion amongst the member states to review what pending projects can be carried over to the new work plan. So for example, in the case of Thailand, for your four projects, since they're not yet implemented, then it can be reviewed so that it can be incorporated in the next work plan. Because there's a determination to be made by member states to see the relevance and how it can be revised, no? So it's more like relevant, no? Oh, yeah. So it's not automatically deleted. Yeah. Please.
If I would like to end all the projects because of the project that's created by a few years ago, and I would like to take it off, I don't want to continue to the new work plan. Can I do that? Okay, then I will propose the new one because that's quite own idea. Can I do that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any related views, questions from this side? Okay, so thank you, Miguel, for reminding us about the possibility of not inserting in the Philippines, insertion in the budget is controversial, but keeping in mind that some of the recommendations from this forum maybe can be included in your upcoming programming cycles, no? In your respective sector as at the country level, but also looking at the sectoral, ASEAN sectoral plans that is now being developed. So we hope that there is that push, the championing for cross-sector, cross-pillar convergence on common agenda. So, thank you for reminding us, Miguel, or sharing the information on how we are able to tap into existing ASEAN-oriented, ASEAN-managed funding facilities. And it is good to hear that so long as the proposals are within the priorities or builds upon the goals of the plans at the national and regional level, then there can be that expected support or endorsement from the respective ministries. And finally, moving on to our last question here. Again, may I request for assistance? Okay, the third question is, how can we monitor the progress of implementation of the commitments shared in this rural development dialogue? We have two answers. It used to be four, but we said maybe we can cluster it into two. An ASEAN-led 𝗟𝗓𝗡 platform for cross-sectoral and multi-stakeholder coordination to lead progress and results monitoring. And second is a network of rural people's organizations, such as the awardees of the ASEAN Award on RDPE, to support the tracking of progress and the result. Okay, so far there is this favoring of an option of an ASEAN-led 𝗟𝗓𝗡 platform. Maybe the question is, but we don't, maybe, unless there will be views from the floor, would be, how do we start this process? If it's 𝗟𝗓𝗡-led initiative of bringing together different sectors as like represented here in the forum, or maybe those who are not yet here but are contributing to the rural development agenda. Any views? So what can, or how will the 𝗟𝗓𝗡 country level proceed with this task of organizing multi-stakeholder, multi-sector working group to monitor progress of implementation? I come closer to Malaysia. I ask, Madam, there is the suggestion about monitoring, like maybe a 𝗟𝗓𝗡-led multi-sector, multi-stakeholder mechanism to keep track of the commitments coming from this forum. Is that something that you see possible?
I think the main challenges is to gather data, and whenever we have a new KPI or monitoring mechanism, it will add to the, I would say, workload of the members. In addition to, because not, I think different countries maybe have different style, but all of us, I think mostly we are not only focusing on ASEAN, but we are also in charge of other additional tasks as well. So by having more monitoring, it will have an additional burden to us. So I'm not sure about the commitment because I think now even our FAP, the Framework Action Plan for RDPE also, we are only doing it once a year, and that was because we have to present in the 𝗟𝗓𝗡 meeting. So if you want to have a meaningful what you call that monitoring system, it has also to be reported in a meeting, like somebody who's reporting, who's not sending data and all that, and maybe make it something that is easier for everyone to access, like you know, the shared document, that sort of things. So maybe I'm not trying to be negative, but that's a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. That still sounds positive. amidst the challenges. Any views from, any word from Timor-Leste?
Thank you, Ma'am, for the floor. I think I will just give the comment to both. ASEAN lead the SOM RDP for the cross-sectoral sectoral and multi-stakeholder coordination should be functioning in the regional level. On the other hand, I think in the country level, the ministry, let's say the minister of, in my case, in our context, the Minister of Rural Development and Community Housing, in the same time the minister as a coordinating minister for the all sectoral body. So we working together with the civil society and the NGO, national NGO and international NGO in the country level to monitor the progress or achievement of the rural development progress in the country level, and how we can link or we regularly monitor, regularly report to the regional level. So we have to make sure that the regional development program work in the community level. It should be take care or the by the our local government and also community leader in the grassroots level. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that very hopeful scenario of how monitoring, well, it's actually being done, and how it could also respond to this call for keeping track of commitments as far as rural development is concerned in a multi-stakeholder manner. Any word from Thailand? Okay, so thank you. Okay, so any perspective from ASEAN Secretariat on the monitoring, on the importance of being able to keep track on the implementation of commitments?
Thank you, Marlene. Maybe I'll pick up what Naslinda, SOM RDP Malaysia mentioned earlier. No? There's recognition that, of course, we don't want to overburden member states and sectoral bodies, no? When it comes to ASEAN work, because it's really on top of what you're doing at the national level. The main question we always ask is how cooperation at the ASEAN level would add value to what you're doing at the national level. No? And that's really one of the main motivations behind this ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development. How the master plan can help you, member states, in your work with other ministries, and your engagements with stakeholders. No? With regard to monitoring and evaluation, in the ASEAN Secretariat, each of the community pillars, there are monitoring divisions. No? Perhaps some of you would have received emails requesting for data and information. Our team from the Secretariat, we are tracking two things. One is the implementation of your work plans. And we do that by referencing the ASEAN, the blueprints. So before it was called the blueprints, no, the ASCC blueprint, AEC blueprint for SOM-AMAF and AXMI, and APSC blueprint. I think the same will be done for the new programming cycle. Once all of your work plans have been developed, this will be linked to this. There's an online system, no? And I think some of the members, all member states can access this. No? So that's one way of monitoring, but it's quite broad, no? It's quite broad. The other one is on monitoring declarations, no? ASEAN declarations and frameworks. So again, that's, and the request from member states is to provide data at the national level. So perhaps some of you would have received requests from the ASEAN Secretariat to share your national programs, your policies, no, that contribute to the implementation of ASEAN frameworks. So we from the ASEAN Secretariat, we do that monitoring. I think the request from this slide is if there is a need for a more dedicated, more focused monitoring system on rural development. No? I think that's the request. So perhaps since, well, in my mind, this is not the last time we're going to have this conversation. Maybe it's something that we can put a pin on and pick up later as we continue this conversation and in really partnership, no, that we're trying to foster between the ASEAN sectoral bodies and the stakeholders. Thank you, Marlene.
Okay, thank you very much, Miguel. So I think that brings us to a close, no? So we just thought of having these 3 questions as a way of moving us forward, coming from hearing recommendations. But how do we respond to these recommendations? So when we go back, we in the end, it's what happens on the ground. So which means we're looking at multi-stakeholder processes and mechanisms at the national level, and then that possibility of jointly responding to some of the issues, so like a joint resource mobilization work, and we have heard some options on how we can raise resources needed to respond to some of the priority actions. And I think thirdly, on the monitoring side, and we thank Miguel for giving us that options and possibility of at some point being able to keep track our focus on rural development, and that is something that we can take a look at in our next exchanges and gathering. So with this, I thank you, and I hope this session has been helpful.
Thank you to our participant and Ms. Marlene, moderator, for the very productive discussions. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached our final session of the dialogue. Session 5, which will focus on next steps and way forward. The session will exchange views and their recommendation towards regional capacity building on rural territorial development. We are pleased to welcome Ms. Miguel Musngi, Assistant Director, Head of Poverty, Eradication and Gender Division of the ASEAN Secretariat, to lead this session. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Miguel.
All right, I think we have reached the tail end of this dialogue, and our team, together with Malaysia, SOMRDP Malaysia, have been diligently taking notes, and we drafted the recommendations arising from this regional dialogue. I think we're going to flash on the screen. So in this session, we will read the general recommendations so that everyone would can see the summary of our discussions and the recommendations. No? There, okay. I think it's coming. Maybe I'll just start with the introduction. So the ASEAN Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue on the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development was organized on 7-8 October 2025 in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and via video conference. The dialogue was attended by representatives of SOMRDPE, ACW, SOMSWAD, SOMHD, SOMAMAF, AXMI, and the dialogue was also participated in by representatives from ASIADRA, an ASEAN-affiliated entity, and other CSOs and NGOs. The dialogue provided an avenue for raising awareness and socializing the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development and reinforcing its linkages with other relevant ASEAN frameworks and work plans, identifying the priority areas for action, as well as potential contribution of ASEAN sectoral bodies to the implementation of the master plan, including identifying innovative approaches to generate actionable solutions and fostering partnership and collaboration between ASEAN sectoral bodies, ASEAN partners, and other stakeholders. The dialogue reaffirmed ASEAN's commitments to pursue strategies for the effective implementation of the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development in fostering a resilient, inclusive, sustainable ASEAN. Further reaffirmed the commitment to pursue transformative rural and community development to alleviate poverty in the region towards improving the socioeconomic conditions of poor people and assisting the poorest groups to benefit from development. Dialogue also underscored the commitment to ensure the meaningful participation of small farmers, rural women, cooperatives, rural people's organizations, and community-based organizations, as well as vulnerable groups, including women and persons with disabilities in rural or urban environments, towards inclusive and resilient sustainable development. Emphasize the importance of integrating gender dimensions in rural development and poverty alleviation agenda to advance gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls, highlighted the important role of rural women in sustaining livelihoods and community resilience, and recognized that rural women are disproportionately affected by poverty and social exclusion, such as limited access to resources, technologies, finance, and decision-making platforms. Further emphasize that mainstreaming gender perspectives into policies, programs, and investments is critical to addressing systemic inequalities, removing structural barriers, ensuring that women and girls in rural areas have equal access to productive resources, education and health services, skills development and technologies, as well as decent work opportunities, among others, and stressed the importance of promoting women's voice, agency, and leadership in decision-making processes at all levels, from the household to community, national, and regional platforms. The policy dialogue underscored the importance of enhancing digital connectivity and infrastructure as a key enabler of inclusive, resilient, and sustainable rural development, while acknowledged the challenges encountered in building rural infrastructure, including digital infrastructures in rural areas, highlighted the need for progressive and coordinated efforts to maximize digital accessibility, bridge the digital divide, and empower rural communities through improved access to digital tools and services, emphasized that strengthened digital infrastructure contributes to expanding market productivity, advancing e-commerce, and enhancing the well-being and livelihoods of rural populations, particularly small farmers, rural women, cooperatives, and vulnerable groups. Encourage continued collaboration between governments, the private sector, and development partners to foster a sustainable digital ecosystem that promotes inclusive participation in the digital economy and ensures that no one is left behind in the transition toward digital transformation. The dialogue also highlighted the need for integrated, people-oriented, and inclusive approaches to realize transformative rural development. Key insights from the discussions include the imperative of integrated approaches towards sustainable and transformative rural development. Sustainable and transformative rural development cannot be achieved in silos. There is a critical need for enhanced cross-sectoral collaboration at the national and regional levels, breaking down barriers between agriculture, environment, social welfare, digital economy, and infrastructure development. The importance of strengthening rural-urban linkages. The long-term prosperity of rural and urban areas is inherently interdependent. The dialogue therefore prioritizes the development of mutually reinforcing relationships through integrated value chains, strengthened connectivity, accelerated digital transformation, and territorially balanced planning frameworks that promote cohesion while preserving the distinctive cultural and environmental assets of rural landscapes. The importance of building and improving rural infrastructure, including roads, water, and sanitation systems, digital networks, housing, and settlements. The persistent gaps and challenges that risk making rural areas more remote and disconnected is the lack of infrastructure in the rural area. Strengthened rural infrastructure promotes economic participation, facilitates access to essential services, and social inclusion and resilience among rural populations. The importance of placing people at the center. Rural transformation must be inclusive, equitable, and rights-based. Policy and programmatic strategies should prioritize the needs and aspirations of the most vulnerable community, including smallholder farmers, indigenous peoples, persons with disabilities, women, youth, and the elderly, ensuring their meaningful participation, access to opportunities, and protection of livelihoods. The dialogue put forward the following key recommendations to accelerate the implementation of the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development. Establish and strengthen regional dialogue and interface between ASEAN sectoral bodies and stakeholders. The dialogue called for stronger collaboration between SOM-RDPE, SOM-AMAF, SOM-SWAD, AXMI, and SOM-HD, and other relevant ASEAN sectoral bodies and ASEAN networks, including rural people's organizations, farmers' organizations and cooperatives, rural women's organizations and other CSOs, and the private sector, to pursue policy dialogues and exchanges of good practices and lessons learned, such as the ASEAN Public-Private People Partnership Forum on Rural Development and Poverty Eradication. Strengthen and foster inter-ministerial coordination mechanisms at the national level to better align national priorities, resource mobilization, and program delivery for rural development and poverty eradication. The dialogue noted the importance of promoting and ensuring policy coherence and planning alignment on rural development and development of clear institutional linkages among ministries responsible for agriculture, social welfare, education, health, infrastructure, and local governance. The dialogue explored the establishment of an ASEAN-led cross-sectoral and interpillar mechanism to facilitate policy dialogue, ensure consistency and complementarity of rural development and poverty eradication programs and policies. Strengthen rural infrastructure, including digital infrastructure and connectivity. These include, among others, enhancing digital connectivity and infrastructure for rural development and maximizing the use of artificial intelligence in project development, monitoring and evaluation mechanisms, and agricultural crop production in rural communities. Development of regional guidelines on sustainable territorial rural development. The dialogue called for building capacities through the development of ASEAN-wide guidelines on sustainable territorial rural development. These guidelines should provide tangible framework for ASEAN member states to design and implement innovative strategies that strengthen rural-urban linkages, promote sustainable resource management, and enhance the resilience of rural communities to economic and environmental shocks. Development of an ASEAN study on the state of sustainable rural development. The dialogue recommended gathering evidence, map good practices, analyze current trends, identify progress, pinpoint persistent challenges, and highlight emerging opportunities in rural development across ASEAN, covering, among others, social welfare and development, health and development, micro, small, medium enterprises, and gender equality, among others. It is envisioned to provide an invaluable resource for policy making, program design, and tracking the collective progress towards the effective implementation of the master plan's goals. Promotion of joint actions for inclusive rural transformation. The dialogue suggested to undertake joint actions, pilot projects, knowledge-sharing platforms that focus on people-oriented and integrated approaches. The dialogue further emphasized the need for immediate focus on the following priority areas: promotion of enabling environment for community engagement, to design and implement targeted initiatives that dismantle barriers for marginalized groups in rural communities, such as rural women, youth, older persons, persons with disabilities, among others, to participate meaningfully in rural development. This includes enhancing access to digital financial services, providing tailored entrepreneurship and financial literacy training, supporting women-led and youth-led enterprises, and promoting their role in community leadership and decision-making processes. So maximize regional platforms that are proven to effectively promote inclusive and sustainable rural transformation, such as the ASEAN +3 Village Leaders Exchange Program, among others. Climate action and rural development. To initiate joint projects that promote climate-resilient rural development, gender equality and climate change, enhance community-based approaches, renewable energy, as well as natural resource management to ensure that rural communities are equipped to adapt to and mitigate the impacts of climate change. The dialogue emphasized the importance of utilizing the existing regional platforms, such as the ASEAN Climate Resilience Network. The dialogue also emphasized the alignment and synergy between the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development and other regional and global frameworks, and the development and implementation of national and regional adaptation strategies that enhance the resilience of communities, economies, and ecosystems, including the following: The ASEAN 2045, our shared future and its strategic plans, ensuring rural development is central to the region's long-term integration and development agenda. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, recognizing that advancing rural development is crucial for achieving multiple SDGs, including those related to poverty, hunger, gender equality, and climate change, and other ASEAN sectoral work plans and frameworks, such as those concerning food, agriculture, and forestry, energy, environment and climate change, gender equality, and information and communications technology, among others, to ensure policy coherence and impactful programs. Finally, the dialogue reaffirmed commitment in accelerating sustainable and transformative rural development, enhanced collaboration among ASEAN member states, relevant stakeholders, and partners. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is our team and in collaboration with Malaysia, SOMRDP Malaysia and ASEAN, our attempt at capturing the rich exchanges, discussions during the 1.5 days that we have been together. It shows really a lot of discussions. No? So hopefully we captured all of the key points, particularly the recommendations. So this, oh, it's gone. Okay, so this is the general recommendations from this regional dialogue. This will be submitted to SOMRDPE in their upcoming meeting, and perhaps it will also be shared with the sectoral bodies who are attending this dialogue. And I think our team will also circulate this general recommendations to all of the participants. So you'll have copies of the recommendations. So with that, I think we can close this session. Congratulations to everyone for the general recommendations. And I now hand over back the microphone to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you to our presenter, Mr. Miguel, and participants for the productive session. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, special reminder, we request the participant who has not registered for day 2, please proceed to registration counter after these sessions.
Test, mic, test. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Dato' 𝗟𝗓𝗪 bin Abdullah, Deputy Secretary General, Policy, Ministry of Rural and Regional Development, Malaysia. Thank you, Dato', for joining us despite his hectic schedule. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we nearly conclude the ASEAN multi-stakeholder dialogue on the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development. As we reach the final part of today's program, it gives me a great pleasure and honor to invite His Excellency Dato' Abdul-Kahar bin Abdullah, Deputy Secretary General Policy, Ministry of Rural and Regional Development Malaysia, onto the stage for the closing remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dato' Abdul-Kahar bin Abdullah onto the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat datang, salam sejahtera and salam Malaysia Madani. Mr. Megwal Musni, Assistant Director, Head of Poverty Eradication and Gender Division, ASEAN Secretariat, Ms. Marlene 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, Secretary General of the ASEAN Disaster Health Response Agencies Association, ASEAN 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓, distinguished delegate from ASEAN member state, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to all of you. As we draw our curtain on this ASEAN multi-stakeholder dialogue on the ASEAN Master Plan and Rural Development, I am filled with profound sense of optimism and shared purpose. Over the past 2 days, this hall and our virtual space have been alive with insightful discussion, innovative ideas, and a collective will to uplift our rural communities. It is my distinct honor to be here today to deliver the closing remarks. On behalf of the Ministry of Rural Development and Regional Development of Malaysia, I want to extend our deepest gratitude to every one of you for your active participation and invaluable contribution. Hosting this dialogue in Malaysia has been a privilege. From the very start, the tone was set for a collaborative and forward-looking engagement. We began day one by setting the scene with a comprehensive overview of the ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development presented by the ASEAN Secretariat. This provided the perfect foundation for our subsequent deliberation. Our journey through this session was both methodical and enlightening. In session 1, we explored the critical needs for strengthening linkages between the master plan and the other ASEAN sectoral frameworks. The discussion with representatives from agriculture, social, welfare, health, and MSMEs underscore a fundamental truth. Rural development cannot exist in a silo. It is an interconnected ecosystem that requires a coherent, cross-cutting approach to amplify our impact. Session 2 was a powerful showcase of good practices and innovation. We heard inspiring stories and practical solutions from ASEAN member states, development partners like FAO, civil society organizations such as Bina Desa Indonesia, and the private sector, 𝗟𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓 Malaysia. These presentations were not just theoretical. They were living examples of what is possible when passion meet partnership. The breakout groups that followed allow us to dive deeper into 4 crucial pillars: economic empowerment, rural infrastructure, climate resilient, and inclusive access to social services. This morning, we seamlessly transition from discussion to action. Session 3 enables us to collaboratively map priorities, areas, and strategic action, turning the rich insight from our breakout groups into coherent vision. This was followed by a vital dialogues in Session 4 on promoting synergies and partnership, which reinforce our shared understanding that the path forward must be paved with collaboration and robust resource mobilization. So, where do we go from here? This dialogue has crystallized 3 key messages that we must carry forward. First, partnership is our power. The term multi-stakeholder is not just jargon. It is our most potent strategy. The success of master plan hinges on our ability to force strong alliances between government, private sector, civil society, academia, and our international partners. Second, implementation is imperative. A plan is only as good as its execution. The next step, presented by the ASEAN Secretariat, focusing on regional capacity buildings and piloting territorial rural development programs, are practical and essential. To ensure this momentum is not lost, the outcomes and key recommendations from our dialogue will be formally tabled at the upcoming senior official meeting and ASEAN ministerial meeting on rural development and poverty eradication, which we will held in December 2025 in Bangkok, Thailand. This will provide a crucial platform for higher level endorsement and further action. The third, truly bring the master plan to life. Its priorities must be integrated into national strategic plans of each ASEAN member state. This will align regional aspiration with domestic policies and budget, fostering synergy. Embedding this objective into development agenda will enhance ownership, monitoring, and accelerate rural community transformation across the region. The fourth, inclusivity is non-negotiable. Throughout our discussion, we repeatedly emphasize the need to empower women, youth, and marginalized groups. As we build climate-resilient infrastructure and expand access to social services, we must ensure that no one is left behind. Our goal is not just rural development, but inclusive and sustainable rural transformation. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the energy and commitment demonstrated over these 2 days are truly commendable. As the host of this dialogue, Malaysia reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the ASEAN Master Plan on rural development and to working hand in hand with all member states and partners to achieve our collective vision. Let us carry the momentum from Kuala Lumpur back to our respective nation and organization. Let the connection we have made here blossom into fruitful collaboration, and let the ideas we have shared become the seed of progress for millions of people across our region. I would like to extend a special thanks to the ASEAN Secretariat, especially the Poverty Eradication and Gender Division, for their excellent work. My appreciation also goes to all the speakers, moderators, and rapporteurs who guided our conversation with such skill. And finally, thank you to the organizing committee for orchestrating this seamless and productive event. With that, I officially declare the ASEAN Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue on ASEAN Master Plan on Rural Development closed. Thank you.
Thank you for the remarkable speech from His Excellency Dato' Abdul Kahar bin Abdullah. We kindly request His Excellency to remain on stage for the photo session with all the speakers and moderators. Let us take a moment for a group photo to capture the meaningful occasion.
May we have all the speakers and moderators to join His Excellency on the stage, please? Please come forward on the stage. Can we have our photographers also to take their positions? All right, ready? We have more space on the right of the stage. Okay, photographers okay? Bigger smile, please.
Thank you. For the next photo session, we kindly invite all distinguished guests and participants to rise and stand at your respective place for the group photograph. Meanwhile, we request our official photographer to take position on the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we rise at your own respective places for another group photo? Can we move forward, please? Requested by the photographers. Can we move forward, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, can we move forward a bit so that we can see everyone? All right. We have more space on the left. Please move to the middle of the hall, please. Come closer. Don't be shy. Come closer. To the center. To the center. All right, thank you. Thank you so much, dear photographers, the crews, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to a close of today's program, let us remember that the insight gained today will serve as a bridge towards a better tomorrow for ASEAN. Before we conclude today's program, please be informed that the ASEAN +3 Forum on Women Digitalization will resume tomorrow with engaging panel discussions all aimed at further empowering rural women through digital inclusion for sustainable futures.
We will also like to kindly remind all participants to register again tomorrow for day 3 at the forum at the registration counter located outside of the ballroom. We look forward to welcoming all of you again tomorrow morning. Please be advised that all participants are requested to be in the ballroom by 8:30 a.m. Until then, have a restful evening and have a pleasant night ahead. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a small reminder to all the international participants, can you come forward to the table to get the invitation card for tomorrow's dinner program?